Hello everybody, Kyle Broda here from FullSkillsExamPrep.com, and today we're going to talk about a very important topic because I know a lot of you are thinking about your upcoming ICCRC Full Skills Exam and you're studying and working really hard, and that's amazing. But there's another exam we need to think about in order to qualify to write the ICCRC Full Skills Exam, and that is of course your language exam. So in this video, we will discuss the requirements that you need to fulfill in order to take the next step to being qualified to write the ICCRC Full Skills Exam. So we're going to take a look at this through three perspectives here. We're going to see, first of all, how this relates to you in the position you are in right now. So for most of you, I would assume that you might be in your immigration practitioner's course right now, and you're just starting to think about the future. That's great. You should be preparing for the next step, of course, which is the ICCRC Full Skills Exam. But before taking the ICCRC Full Skills Exam, you have a pretty big step, and that has to do with your language exam. So we're going to talk about that pretty thoroughly to give you a better understanding of your language exam requirement. Now you're going to be happy to note that there is a mountain of support out there for you as a future RCIC. Now this means free material, free practice, free everything, free master classes, etc. And this is all there to help you succeed in your upcoming English exam. Now once we start thinking about the future a little bit more, this is great because you're going to hopefully have hundreds of clients in the future once you become an RCIC. Well, pretty much all of your economic immigration clients are going to need a language exam. And because you're going to know all of that free support out there, well, you can be in a better position to help your clients reach their goal of passing their English exam. And if we take a step before, we're dreaming a little bit there because we're thinking of all of your clients in the future, but we're going to take another step back here. And we're going to think about scenarios that might come up on the ICCRC Full Skills Exam that might relate to language exams. So let's jump into the first goal that we have, which is to understand language exams as it relates to you as a future ICCRC Full Skills Exam taker. Now, we do quite a few class visits to groups who are becoming RCICs, so schools that offer the diploma invite us to give guest lectures to the students, and this is usually a question that comes up because people are usually in the middle of their diploma and they kind of have a vague idea about the next steps, but they're not too sure usually about the language exam and who needs to take this language exam. Because people, you've probably noticed even with your classmates and the people studying with you, people are from all over the world. Some people only speak English even. Other people speak English as a second, third language, but maybe they did master's degrees in English, or they're English teachers even. Well, there's a pretty easy answer to this question, and essentially everybody needs to take a language exam, a specific language exam, in order to be eligible to write the ICCRC Full Skills Exam. Now, when you take a look at the ICCRC registration guide, which is linked below if you're watching this through the website and not on YouTube, well, you can see that there are no exceptions. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a PhD in English, or if you're a newscaster for the BBC or CBC or anything like that. Everybody has to take the language exam. There's no exceptions. Well, let's take a look at some of your options for this language exam. Now, all of you are watching this video in English, so I would assume that your English is probably stronger than your French. So for each of you, you're going to have to decide between these four exams. Now we have IELTS. I've got all the websites here for you. I'd recommend that you look through the websites of each of these and see which one better suits your needs. Now, we're going to talk about IELTS a little bit later. We recommend IELTS because, well, there's quite a few reasons, but there's a lot of free support out there for you. It's going to help your future clients as well. But you certainly have other options. So take a look at these websites here, and you're going to have to decide really which one you think would best benefit you in this step of becoming an RCIC. So those are the exam options. Now, the score is a very big area that we need to discuss because the score is extremely important for you to meet your minimum requirements. Now, for IELTS, you can only take the academic version of IELTS for your ICCRC purposes. Now, with this, you're going to need a band 6.5 in speaking, writing, and reading. It's just a little bit higher in listening. In listening, it is a 7.5. Now, if you've gone through the free lessons on the Federal Skilled Worker, for example, or Express Entry, you're going to know how to correlate all of these individual scores to the CLB. All of these scores here correlate to CLB 8 in English. All right, so in CAN test, you've got a 4.5 in speaking and a 4 in listening, reading, writing. In CELPIP, you've got an 8 in each. And CALE, you have an overall score of 70. Now, if you are a French speaker, or maybe you're bilingual and your French is stronger than your English, well, you've got a few options as well. Now, you have TEF. We're going to see TEF quite a bit once you start working through the lessons, because TEF is one of the exams that's accepted for immigration. So previously we saw 4 options for English exams. Well, only 2 of those are accepted for immigration purposes for your clients in the future. For ICCRC purposes, all 4 of those are accepted. Well, we have a similar situation here where we have the TEF exam, which is le test d'évaluation de français, and that one is accepted for immigration. So some of your clients might take the TEF exam in the future. For you and for your ICCRC purposes, you're in a pretty good position because you also have the option of taking TEF Canada, which is a more Canadian French-based exam. And of course, you have the option of the CEL. So that is another French exam. With regard to the TEF or TEF Canada, the score that you would need to obtain is a little bit higher. It's a CLB 9. Now with this, you have a 248 to 262 for compréhension écrite, 298 to 315 for compréhension orale, 372 to 392 for lexique et structure, et aussi l'expression orale. Now, if you don't understand what those terms mean, it's probably not a good idea to take this exam. You would want to focus on the English exam instead. Now, for CEL, it's a little bit different. So you have a score of A, which is 86 or more for compétence écrite and compréhension et expression. In terms of general requirements for your exam, well, as we know, and as we've seen in some scenarios, if you're working through the exam simulations or the lessons, exam results, language exam results, are valid for 2 years. Now, that's great news for you because we always recommend for people, even if you're going to take your immigration practitioner's diploma, you can take your language exam really early so that you can just concentrate on your immigration practitioner's diploma. Remember, the language results are valid for 2 years. So if you're expecting to maybe take your diploma, maybe the diploma will take a year, you still have a year in there. So it's never too early to take the exam. Except remember, you have to have a recognized test. There is something small that we can discuss as well, which is with regard to substitution. Now, I know for a lot of you, your English is maybe your second, third, fourth language, and understanding English through the context of an exam can be a little bit difficult. So it's just like studying for the full skills exam. What we do, of course, is help you to see all that great immigration knowledge that you're getting in your course, but through the context of the ICCRC Full Skills Exam. Well, your English exam is the exact same, where you need to, it's not enough to just speak English or be able to work in English. You have to understand the context of the exam itself. Now, for some of you, you might take the exam and you might not get a score that you need in a certain area. Well, it's good news because you can substitute scores from certain exams for other scores of certain exams. However, the exams have to be taken within the last 12 months before submitting to the ICCRC. So those would have to be exams that are done pretty soon. Now let's take a look at an example of substitution. So as we saw before with IELTS, we need a minimum of band 6.5 in speaking, writing, and reading, and a little bit higher in listening. So that's a 7.5, band 7.5. Now CELPIP, the score, is, well, it's a little bit easier to decipher. It's 8 in each. Now these, of course, correlate to CLB 8. But let's say, for example, somebody takes the CELPIP exam May 1st, and the person does really well in listening and reading, but this person doesn't have a good time in writing and speaking and doesn't get the score that he or she needs in order to qualify to write the ICCRC Full Skills Exam. Well, if that same person took the IELTS exam and sort of performed the opposite, so that person got a weaker score in listening and reading but improved in writing and speaking, this person would then qualify because of substitution. So the person could substitute the listening and reading score of his CELPIP exam for the lower score that he got in IELTS, and that would qualify this person for the ICCRC Full Skills Exam because he or she would meet the minimum requirements. And here is the big question. I know how busy everybody is, and I know you're working hard in your diploma. Well, this is a question we need to answer. Now that is, when should you take your language exam? And you're going to be surprised because the answer is actually the exact same as when you should take your full skills exam. And that answer is, of course, as soon as possible. So we get people who email us and call us and join the seminars who sometimes say that they waited until they finished their diploma to take their language exam, and then they maybe didn't get the score that they needed. So their ICCRC Full Skills Exam gets delayed. Now, ideally, you would do this way before graduation. Remember, the exam is valid for 2 years. So you'd want to do this really as early as possible. If you can do it 5 months before you graduate from your immigration practitioner's program, that is an absolutely amazing idea, and we 1,000,000% recommend that you take your language exam as soon as possible. It's valid for 2 years, and it is extremely unlikely that you're going to take your ICCRC Full Skills Exam 2 years after graduation, right? So really make sure you do this right away, and I'm going to show you some of the tools that are available for you in a couple slides here. Alright, so we know the score that we need. We know that we have to take the exam as soon as possible, but a big question is, of course, which exam should I take? Now we have the French option there, which is TEF. We have a few English options here. And let's explore this because all of you are in different situations. And of course, you all want to reach your goal, which is being eligible to write the ICCRC Full Skills Exam, and of course, passing the Full Skills Exam, becoming an immigration consultant, and helping Canadians. But this is a step we need to really take a look at. Now, if you are bilingual, I mean, of course, in French and English, well, you're in a really great position, and we're really happy for you. In terms of your immigration practice in the future, it's going to open a lot of doors for you. In terms of your ICCRC Full Skills Exam and meeting your language requirements, you also have a really great advantage. Now, for those of you who are bilingual or French speaking, where maybe your French is stronger than your English, you probably want to qualify for the Midi so that you can represent clients going to Quebec. Now, with this, you have a pretty good tool at your disposal because the ICCRC accepts language results in French, of course, as we saw, and we've got the two over there. So we have the TEF, we have the Canadian TEF as well, and the CEL. Well, you're going to have to, if you want to qualify for the Midi as well, you're going to have to again take a French language exam. Except what we can do is use the same results for both places. This, of course, is assuming that you write the TEF. So, as we can see, the TEF exam qualifies for both. So you'll probably save some money, and you'll save some time, really, and stress if you can get the score that you need in the TEF and use it for both purposes. Now, if you are not so bilingual, which is the case for many people, myself included, you're going to have to get a different plan, assuming that you want to work with Quebec again. Now, for IELTS, we're going to see that IELTS has a lot of advantages when you want to register for to become an RCIC. Now, the IELTS exam will qualify you for the ICCRC, but for Quebec, you would have to take a French exam as well. Now, I recommend the TCF. It is the cheaper option, and it qualifies you for Quebec as well. So if you want to work on your English exam and then your French exam, that would be a good idea. If you are perfectly bilingual, and of course you've mastered French, and of course you've mastered the exam, the TEF exam, use the TEF. Now for IELTS, remember we talked about the score that you're going to need. You need a band 6.5 in speaking, reading, and writing, and of course a 7.5 in listening. Well, here is the IELTS website. I told you there's a big mountain of free support out there for you. It's linked below for you as well, so you can just click on it, and you can see there's a couple little tabs over there. One is Take IELTS, where you can register for your exam. One's Prepare for IELTS, where there is quite a few, there's quite a few areas of free lessons and things like that. If you're here in Canada, I would assume most of you are in Canada, there are free classes, free master classes across Canada as well. So just be sure to check out that schedule. Take this exam seriously, do all the preparation, even if you're a native speaker, even if you've gone to school in English for a long time. It's really important to just take this exam once, get the score that you need, and then we can concentrate on your full skills exam. All right, so you've heard me talking about the advantages of IELTS. Well, you have partnership opportunities once you become an RCIC, so it's important in your journey to becoming an RCIC, you need to really think of the bigger picture and the future. Now, with IELTS, of course, you have that beautiful opportunity to help your clients through a partnership with IDP IELTS. All the knowledge that you're gaining in preparing for the IELTS exam is the same knowledge that your clients are going to need to prepare for their IELTS exam once they decide to become Canadian. So remember that your economic class clients are mostly going to need the IELTS exam in order to qualify for immigration to Canada. Well, for you, you'll be in a better position to be able to help them because you're going to, well, you'll have gone through the same process. We're going to take a look at a scenario involving IELTS in one of the last slides of today. And in terms of location and how often the exam is, well, it's about every week or 2 weeks and all across Canada. Most people, in terms of the speaking portion of the exam, really enjoy the fact that the speaking interview is with a person. It makes it, they feel like it makes it more personable, and they feel like they can perform better in the speaking portion as well. So those are just a few advantages of IELTS and really understanding IELTS for you, of course, as exam takers, as ICCRC Full Skills Exam takers, but also once you become an RCIC. So if you've never taken an IELTS exam before, there is a procedure that you will go through. Now, all of this, of course, is available in way more detail on the IDP IELTS website, which is linked for you below. But just to give you a little bit of an idea, you've got a listening section that is usually right at the beginning. Okay, then depending on if you're going to take general or academic, now for all of you, you know which one you have to take, and it is academic. So the academic reading is 3 sections, 40 items for about an hour. Well, for exactly 1 hour, actually. And writing is something you're going to have to prepare for as well. Finally, it depends on where you take your exam, but you might have speaking on the same day as the other portions, or you might have speaking before or after the other portions. Personally, if you're choosing between a couple of centers and one of the centers offers speaking on a different day from the other portions, I would recommend this. It's a pretty long day when you take the exam. You're going to show up at probably 8 in the morning, and you'll finish listening, reading, and writing at about maybe 12:30. Then your speaking, if it's on the same day, can be somewhere between 1 o'clock and maybe 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So it's a pretty long day, and you're going to have to perform really well again. So it's up to you, but if you have the option of choosing a center that offers speaking on a different day, it might be a good idea for you. All right, in terms of preparation, you're going to have to really concentrate on each area. I was just now trying to think of an area specifically where you should practice, where people generally get a little bit lower, and I would say writing is something you're going to have to really concentrate on and really focus on in terms of your preparation. So work your way through all those links on the IDP IELTS website and take this exam very seriously. We hope that you only need to take it once, and then we can concentrate on the next step, which would be preparing you for your ICCRC Full Skills Exam. Now, in terms of scenarios that you can expect on the exam, dealing with language exams and CLB and requirements for various immigration programs, we've got you covered. If you have the test day data booklet, all you have to do is get used to using the language tests page. Now, this is going to help you, of course, to be able to answer questions quickly. And we'll take a look at a question that relates to your ICCRC Full Skills Exam, and of course, that relates to language exams. All right, so we won't really analyze this question too much, but if you want to pause the video and take a look at this question, try to answer it, that would be great. It might be a little bit difficult for you if you're just getting used to understanding language exams through the context of the ICCRC Full Skills Exam. Well, this one might seem a little bit difficult to you, but don't worry. If you work through the free lessons and the simulations, this will take you no time at all. All right, so this is, of course, on the website under the free practice questions. And be sure to take a look at those questions and, of course, the free lessons as well. Now, my final piece of advice for you with regard to the language requirements for your upcoming ICCRC Full Skills Exam registration is right here. If you're 5 months away, 6 months away from your projected ICCRC Full Skills Exam date, do complete your language requirements right now. Now, after you complete your language requirements, then you can concentrate on your Full Skills Exam. Of course, remember that your results are going to last for 2 years. If you're taking the TEF exam, those results last for 1 year. You need to book in advance. You can't just show up on exam day and expect to take the exam. You're going to have to book in advance. Now, if you don't get the results you need, this is the big one. You're going to not be able to write the Full Skills Exam. So your plans might get delayed if you don't get the results that you need in the language exam. And this is the last little piece here. Even if you're a native speaker, an advanced speaker, if you've been in Canada for 20 years and you only speak English every single day, there's no guarantee you're going to pass the exam. So really be sure to prepare as much as possible. There's a mountain of support out there, and we'll kind of, in our journey to becoming an RCIC, we'll be able to take one step closer, because if you complete all this as early as possible, then we can concentrate on the ICCRC Full Skills Exam. As always, a very big thank you for tuning in. We are more than happy to help you take these steps to becoming an RCIC. So you've got IDP IELTS, of course, as one of our partners. And like I've been talking about, there's a mountain of support out there for you at this point of your journey to becoming an RCIC, which is, of course, fulfilling your language requirements. We at Full Skills Exam Prep are here, of course, to help you pass the Full Skills Exam. But after you pass that exam, you've got Scotiabank here to help you as well with making your business. And then, of course, with your CPD requirements that you're going to need, we're here as well. So if you enjoy our lessons, you'll love our CPD courses. All right, thank you so much. Have a good day. And remember to do your language exam as soon as possible.